Thank you very much. You will have to cope with my Swedish accent and not perfect English, but I hope you will understand. The title is a little bit provocative. The future is too important to be left to men. But I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper into that. I just wanted to know before we start, are any of you from a technical faculty or technical university? Then you maybe know of this problem, because I mean generally in the university sector now, it's kind of more of a problem getting male students, because there's very many females, but in the technical sector we still have this issue with getting female students. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. And I'm also gonna show 3 videos during my speak. So at my university, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it, what kind of university it is. We have 3 major challenges. It's recruiting internationally. I must say that Swedish universities now, we are really rookies in competing on the global education market, because we introduced tuition fees in 2011. So we are still learning, and we have very small amounts of students. So this is a big challenge. It's also a big challenge to communicate the role of the engineer. What does an engineer do? How do you explain that for an 18, 19-year-old? And it's also a challenge to attract female students, especially in some of the educational environments. And I'm going to talk mostly about what we have done, some cases, to attract female students. Can you see? A little bit about our university. It's situated in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, and it's a technical university. It's just one faculty. But it's the biggest technical university in Sweden. And we have 4 campi in different parts of Stockholm, but this is the main campus you see on the picture. And we are usually ranking top 100, a little bit more in the QS and the THE. So among the technical universities, it's higher, of course, among the 10th best in Europe. And we have 12,000 full-year students, and we have almost 2,000 doctoral students, and they are also part of the employees, because we count them as employees in Sweden. And even though we are rookies, as I said, we are not that unknown. For example, for 2 years ago, when President Barack Obama visited Europe, he came to Stockholm, and he actually chose to visit our university on his trip. He was interested in sustainability and energy issues. And this week, going home yesterday, I think, we had Professor Stephen Hawking at our campus actually launching a new theory. So it's very nice when they chose to come to us. So it's a big university. But I told you about this being rookies on the education market. We introduced the tuition fees from 2011, and that's for people coming outside EU and EES countries. And you see the huge drop. So I just wanted to show you the reality for us trying to get international students. So in my university, we lost around 90% of the international master students as we introduced the tuition fees. And this is what it looks like within the university, our university. And the total is, I wanted to show that still we are climbing, even if it goes slowly, we are getting more international students. And this is how the students within the university are divided between different kind of programs. And this is the way it looks like if we look at the amount of female students. So we are now going to the end of the strategic plan we have for the university. So the goal or the objective on that one is that we should have 35% female students among all KTH programs. Not there yet. And then we should have 25 among the bachelors. And we're already there. So the difficulty lies here, and it lies in some of the educational programs. There are some environments that are even less than 20%, sometimes even less than 10%. And it's mainly within electrical engineering, it's with computer science, and also with information and technology. What do you say? Information and communication technology, you call it. So our aim was to create a campaign where we attract or communicate these kind of educational environments. And I want to explain a little bit how we are organized, because for example, in UK universities, you usually have huge marketing departments. We don't have that in Swedish universities. People who work with PR and marketing are usually within the communications department or external relations or something like that. So my department or my unit, we are 4 groups. So we work with student recruitment nationally and internationally, and we work with events and academic ceremonies, a group, and then it's communication, a kind of regular group with print tasks and social media and press media relations. And then we also have international relations, which is a pretty big group, but they mostly work with educational issues. So we are around 55 as a whole, but only 2/3 of them are communicators. So KTH is organized in 10 schools, and on every school you have a communicator as well. So all in the university we have around 45 people being communicators and working with these issues. So then we wanted to create a campaign from the central level together with the communicators at these educational programs that not work so well. So the objective was to get at least 20% female applicants to educational programs with less than 20% female new students. And before we started off, we made a target group research, and the conclusions from that was that the knowledge within the target group about these programs was very low. They didn't know much about it. But when they really got to read about the program, the content, and talk to students who are at the program, then they got more interested in it. So what we wanted to achieve with this campaign was to get attention, to reach this target group that haven't even been thinking of doing studying to be an engineer. So we decided to produce a video, and we made some PR and media activities, and we also made standard digital banners and so on. Nothing special with this. Now I realized I forgot to fetch something. You talked so much, I forgot this. This is also a thing that we sent out as a PR thing to the girls at the gymnasium level who was to choose where to go. And we launched this in February, because in Sweden you apply in the middle of April. So it's the 15th of April. It's the latest you do that. So this campaign ran in February and March. And we put up then a campaign site, our main site. So what we did was to kind of collect giants, female role models through history, not only from Sweden, from the whole world. And we did an exception, because usually this is our homepage and our website, and we usually don't have anything here, but then we made this kind of wall of fame during the campaign period. So wherever you went on our website, you had this tapestry behind all the information. And this is the video that I wanted to show. It's always bad coming from a technical university, and then you should do something technical, and everything. So this was the video. And then it was the result of the campaign was that the video got a very high rate for our experience. Usually when we put out videos, perhaps we get 2,500, 3,000. I don't know what you get when you do similar things. But for us it was huge to get over 100,000 shows on this one. We got a pretty good amount on the campaign site, but this was not such a good rate to get them over to look at the program information about the educations. But still we managed to increase the applicants. So going from 104 to 138 to this year then. And the interesting thing, I was told to just talk about what was the reaction within the university, that it got a really huge debate internally and also externally actually. Because the first thing that happened was that we put this video during the campaign on the front on the website, and what happened was that the national kind of biggest magazine about technical issues in Sweden, they had a female reporter. She thought this was just advertising for girls, which she wrote an article about in the newspaper. We had frustrated male professors writing to the vice chancellor and claiming we should take this video away. We had frustrated male students writing to the vice chancellor about the same. They thought it was unfair that we had this provocative tagline, that it was too important to be left to men. But the interesting thing, I think, is that professors enters the schoolrooms or the classrooms every day, and then it's not provocative that it's not one single woman in the room. That's not provocative. I think that's interesting. But this was the good thing. It was very liked and spread among the female engineering community. They really liked this. And they don't, when they come to KTH and they want to become engineers, they don't want to be chosen for different activities just because they are females. They are interested in a certain subject and that they want to work within that. But they are always pointed as a girl studying this and so on. And we also had deep discussions with the executive management about this issue and also with the university board. So we now have out 12 new positions following the tenure track system, and the board has really emphasized that half of these should be for females, which leads to that we have to find new systematic routines that makes it interesting for females to apply to different positions. And one of the things we did also is to cooperate with female role models, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But I showed you this one, and there was somebody in our team that got a very nice picture from one of our events where we shared this, and this is this one, taken in the metro, which I think is a very nice one. I wonder if she could really come home with that bag. So now I dig into another case, and that's what we call the KTH Robot project, and that was the project that you were talking about, that we have won some marketing prizes for. And this is a project that we did with the pop artist and musician Robin. I don't know if she is known here in the UK. She is, yeah? Because when we were at Uprio down in Innsbruck, in south of Europe they don't know so much about her. But in Scandinavian countries and also in the US, she's very big. And I think we start just looking shortly at this project. This is 2013-14 we made this. I think this is the funniest part of this movie, is when the robot is falling and everybody's like if it was a human one. This is a little bit about why Robin as such is interesting for us to cooperate with. I mean, we're so happy that she wants to cooperate with us, because she is kind of a self-made star. She started off as a teenager and also starting her own company because she wanted to make her own rules on how to produce her music and publish her music. She has a lot of self-confidence, a lot of self-expression. She likes technology, and she also fancies robots. She has always a lot of robots when she performs. And she really talks about this, that she wants girls to be interested in technology, because she often says that if I would have known when I was a teenager how things works in a studio, it was always you have to ask a guy how it works, and that you could do it yourself. At this case, it was also important for us to not that we were spreading that she was doing this with us. She was spreading that she was doing this with us. So I mean, Robin has a Twitter account of 355,000 followers. So it really reaches out when you have somebody like her. And it actually worked like that, as you saw in the small video, that they send a message, the student sent her a message and asked if she would like to join this project. And I know that there were a lot of companies who had done the same before that, but she didn't engage. But she thought that it was interesting to do this with the students. And she received no payment from us. She does this because she wants to do it. And of course we wanted her to love the idea. And we think that the reason why this was such a success is that it was this unique idea and cause, and the flexibility and the iterative process. If you should say something about cooperating with a star, it's she sets the agenda. if you have gathered a lot of people, you have booked professors and you have done everything for a press conference or something like that, she can call and say, I'll be 2 hours late. And then you have to rearrange everything because Robin is Robin. But it has really been nice working with her. It also had a non-commercial character, of course, and that the involvement of students and their creativity was a big part of this. And how do you get then from this big attention numbers to behavioral change? That's the difficult bridge. I usually say when I talk about this that I personally think there's a limit of communication. We can communicate females into the university, but if the educational environment stays very male dominant, they leave. So it's to get this bridge. So it's the students' voices and involvement that gave credibility to the project, and the anchoring in KTH reality, of course. But it's also important that you just don't have a film or a video or a project that shoots off and then you land in something that looks boring as it did before. So you have to integrate, of course, everything. And the interesting thing was that it made the faculty question the organizational culture within the university, and that they wanted to be more including and diverse. And if we have reached that, it's also really an objective. But she liked this so much, Robin, so she came back this year and she said that she wanted to organize a festival for girls together with us. So in April this year, we arranged a festival at our campus where we invited girls from 11 years up to, I think, 18. And this is, of course, in Swedish, but it says, thanks to you, I now know what I most likely would do when I grow up. So it's kind of exactly that what we wanted to show. And this got also huge attention that she wanted to do this with us, that these are national media. And above all, a couple of days before this took place, they called from Swedish television. It's like public service, like if BBC wanted to send this live. And they wanted to make a 9-hour live show sending directly from this technical festival. And this was, of course, huge, but with just a couple of days to go, there are a lot of agreements to be signed and a lot of stuff to take care of, but we managed to do that. And then you, of course, get a huge impact also nationally and not only at this place. So I will show you now a short video from this festival showing what kind of different workshops they did attend when they were there with Robin. We did this in cooperation with companies like Google and Spotify and companies that are very innovative and creative. So I'm coming a little bit to conclusion of the reactions of these campaigns or working together with Robin as such. I don't know if you have seen this. Does anybody recognize this? Yeah, yeah. This happened, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now. It was very actual when I did this presentation and sent it away. And I think it was in San Francisco in the US. They made a company, I think One Logic or whatever the name is of the company, made a campaign in San Francisco with huge boards like this. And then it started off with a kind of a dialogue in social media where they were claiming that she couldn't be an engineer. because she was a girl and she looked pretty young, so she couldn't be an engineer. They had just put in a model. And then she got angry, of course, and then she started a hashtag and a website or a place to go, which she calls I Look Like an Engineer. And then it was just going all around the world about females putting up things that they are engineers as well, and that they wanted to show what they are doing. And what I think is a little bit interesting in this is that, I mean, Sweden is a small country, but pretty known for equality, even though. And we are a known university, but still small in the world. And we make in February and March a small campaign about this, getting female students to study as engineers. And this is in the US, this is a couple of months later, but it is exactly the same reactions on social media. No, as soon as females claim they can do the same or stuff like this, it comes back the same, that no, this must be models, this can't be true, females cannot be engineers. I think it's interesting that it's the same dialogue. And I think in the UK, you had this hashtag distractingly sexy with, I think it was Professor Tim Hunt, who said that women in labs, either they cry or they fall in love, so they are kind of useless. And this was also a huge amount of people going in and commenting on this. So a kind of conclusion is that I saw this on Twitter, that why do we have to start hashtags like this? I mean, as long as there's a community where we need this, I mean, this I Look Like an Engineer was pretty fast also followed by I Look Like a Professor. So you have within this area different things like this. So this was it. This was kind of explaining a little bit about how we try to work it out at our university, but as I mentioned also, that it looks kind of the same all over the world. I don't know if you have similar examples or experiences from attracting female students. Totally quiet.
I wonder, what are you going to do the next year?
Next year,
move on?
Yes, we are going to move on. We are actually, Robin has asked us to cooperate on another Tekla festival, and she is so keen on this that she's kind of want to make Tekla festival a thing like a TED talk, like a brand to do Tekla festivals on other places. And as I said, she's a bit more US bound, so she has already started to negotiate with USLA in Los Angeles, and we have had some contacts. I mean, that would be great if we could do things together and keep on this cooperation. So somehow we will keep on with the KTH Giants, and we will keep on with the cooperation with Robin.
Which could create a great brand.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so.
Let's thank Åsa. Oh, question.
Yeah.
Wait.
Firstly, I'm from Australia and I love Robin, and I actually think that I remember something about this kind of on the social media
Yeah.
back home, so that's fantastic. I was just wondering, with the male professors and the male students, I mean, are their attitudes slowly changing towards this and the Giants campaign, or are they still quite challenged by it? I can't remember, sorry, when you launched it.
Yeah, we launched the video. We launched in I think it was late February, actually. Yeah. I would say both. It's really difficult to say, because I mean there's also difficulty that within the female student community in the university, you also have the opinions that a female student studying at a technical university could not be interested in fashion, could not be interested in makeup, could not be interested in... So you have kind of these hardcore, old-fashioned opinions from the students to the professors. But we also have young male students who will not accept being in classrooms with only males. So I would say it's both. I don't know what my colleagues are saying, but I think it's not that they disappeared in that way, but because they also, of course, see this media attention, so they are interested in that. And I think I really liked the answers from our vice chancellors to these guys, because he always answered that this is such a problem that we are forced to be a bit provocative to come through, and it seems like we did it. I mean, he always answered very good. And I can tell something that happened that was a bit funny. It was in the end of March. Katy Perry was in Stockholm to have a big, huge concert in the Stockholm city center. And of course, sold out and everything. And this is kind of the right target group. So somehow the management team or the agents of her had found our video of this, "The future is too important to be left to men," on YouTube. So they contacted us and they wanted to show this video waiting for Katy Perry to come on stage. And of course we didn't disagree on that. We had to pay a little, but it wasn't much. So we agreed on this, and the concert was on a Sunday. On the Thursday, they said everything was fine. On Friday, they contacted us and said, "Yes, we're going to send the video. We just want to edit it a bit." Okay, what would you like to edit? "Yeah, we would just take away the beginning with "the future is too important to be left to men." We will not take away that. It stays the same. "Oh, we have to check." And then they come back and say, "Oh, sorry, then we cannot send it." So, I mean, it's provocative not only among our professors and male students, it's also provocative in other areas. So, absolutely, we didn't change this. So, yeah.
I work at a private girls' school in Manchester, and last year I work in alumni communications actually, so it's not strictly communications. But being a girls' school, and it's very, very strong on STEM subjects, I think you could probably fair to say that the majority of our girls want to be doctors, and they go to all the Russell Group universities. That's where their ambition is.
Mm-hmm.
But internally, our teachers want to encourage the girls to look at engineering and design technology and kind of broaden their scope, if you like. So that's why I'm here now, because I feel like I can probably take some ideas and feedback to some of the teachers. But last year I interviewed 3 of our girls who've got successful careers, 2 of them in Formula 1, engineering, in design and aerodynamics. And one works for McLaren and one works for Williams. And the feedback was very interesting, that we were asking them to talk about and discuss the differences for the boys working on graduate programmes and the girls. And both of the girls would not be drawn into the subject matter. They would not talk about it. Their flat line was everything is okay, that the 2 companies work very hard to now create a very strong, even environment for both girls and for boys. And I don't know, I think it's just quite interesting to, because you'll know from your own giants, as you should say, how because at the end of the day, it's all very exciting to work on these very sexy subjects like robotics and Formula 1 cars and everything else. But like you say, the moment they get into a graduate program, it's very, very different. They deal with a lot of sexism, lack of promotion, bullying, and actually it's not like that. I think a lot of the leading companies are saying that's not the case. So it's quite interesting to maybe just hear your opinion on that, on the other side.
Yeah, do you mean to hear the opinion on what happens when the girls come into other subjects, or if when they really come into the research environment, or stuff like
they actually gain a very good job being an engineer or a job in robotics on a very high level graduate program.
Yeah.
That there's still this kind of perception that there's still a lot of sexism.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if your graduates who then go on to international careers as engineers, does that actually get fed back to your university, the problems, or
I think we try to. I mean, girls that start our computer science program, for example, there are 150 starting a new semester, and then if they have this ocean of men and they are only 3 or 4 women, they don't even register, because this is what they're gonna cope with. So that's one situation. And then there's this situation, of course, in the research groups and where I believe that we have this sexism as well. But what I think we try to do is that we have certain courses, pedagogic, I don't know what it's called in English, courses for the teachers, where they talk about this, a normal situation in the studying environment, where you think that you're not having prejudices, but perhaps you have in your actions, and they try to explore and show what really happens in a classroom, because usually it's like this, that when they have group work, there are a couple of women, a couple of men, and they have group work in the class, and then it's usually the girls that are organizing and see to that it's made and done, and the males are kind of just laid back and don't do so much. But when the teacher comes to the table and asks what's going on, then the guys are talking and the girls are quiet. And in such a situation, the teacher also needs to kind of talk to the females and what do you think? And not just have these boys talking about stuff. So it's also kind of getting the teaching community to see how they act, although they think they are fair, but they're not.
Can I just add something? Because I work with also when I do Alumni Relations, and I think we can get better at having our alumni, our women alumni, linking up with current students and with prospective students, showing what reality is like. We have run in the past dedicated mentoring programs, for instance, and we're linking up with our international alumni and trying to show through mainly through stories what they do and how they've overcome barriers, struggles. Because I think quite a few prospective students, quite a few teenage girls would probably, myself included, would have probably done engineering if there'd been someone from KTH or another actually saying, well, I do change management in this really cool company in Brazil. But that wasn't the image of the engineer.
as I mentioned before, you were asking about how the professors and they acted, and I also mentioned this article where a female reporter thought it was shampoo advertising, this video. And in that thread under this article, there are a lot of students going in and saying it's no use having women in the classroom because they quit, they leave, they have bad results. But then the male teachers from KTH got in and said, no, fact is, female students make it a lot better than the male students. The male students drop off. So I think that was a good thing, that they actually went in there and took the questions and answered, and not just.
You asked earlier about do some of our universities have a problem. I'm at the University of Cambridge, and we have a huge problem with getting women to take STEM in any college, any area. People just the girls don't. They're science oriented. They become natural scientists. They go into biology. Last year, about a year ago now, Mary Edwards College did a women's symposium of science, strictly science. They had alum come back and talk to a whole bunch of mostly sixth formers going before they could apply to college. They had the first woman who ever was an engineer on an oil rig in the North Sea, is one of their alum, and she came. Another woman who was with an F1 racing team. Both of them said they face daily sexism in their jobs to such an extent, but where they learned to get through it was going and doing an engineering degree at Cambridge, because they faced sexism on a daily basis there. If you can get through that, when everyone's a student and it doesn't matter, then you know you're good enough, and you can go. And I was amazed because these young women were like, oh yeah, okay, so you learn to face it. Because they did put it in that kind of thing. You're perfectly capable of this, that has nothing to do with it, but you do have to build up other skills in order to do it in the outside world. And they actually just came back and told them how tough it was, especially on the oil rig. But she was at it for like 4 months or something at a shop. But she's a major supervisor now for the oil companies too, all over the world.
That's great. And I know that when we have I mean, these academic ceremonies, and they chose female students, PhD students, to have their dissertation and everything. When they make their speeches, the females often come up with this. When you go on different bars in Stockholm, it's always great to say that you are have a PhD in some engineering subject, or that you are an educated engineer, because most of the guys get quiet then. Yes.
That's a beautiful finish.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I have one last question.
Yeah?
Last
Okay.
one. Really last
No.
one.
Yeah, this is sort of different kind of questions, but do you recruit like internationally or only Swedish students?
All our on bachelor's level we have Swedish, but on the master's level we only have English. So we
it's
recruit
international.
internationally.
I
Yeah.
was just wondering, after launching this campaign, I know that you succeeded to draw much more attention than ever, but I was wondering, how did it had an impact on the actual number of applicants?
That's interesting, because then we're back to the educational environment. I forgot to say that. It was good that you, because now when we had the first, in Sweden it works like there are 2 enrollment days, and then it's the registering. And we have that in the 15th of September, so we don't really know yet. But on the first enrollment day, we were actually up at 36% for the whole of the university. But on the second, it had gone down to 33. So it's kind of meeting the reality again, that they go somewhere else. But we would like to dig into why. What is this difference between 36 and 33? Where did they go? Why? Why did they make this decision? But these campaigns with Robin and so on, they have had mostly effect on the national recruitment.
And by the way, I'm from Japan, and she was very popular there too.
That was a good finish.
That was a good fit. I was a little bit fast, but maybe we can give an applause now. Yeah?